Lex G, and welcome to the NWA 1983 project. Now, to give you guys some background on what exactly I'm doing, throughout the course of at least modern history, there have been times where a wrestling promotion or promotions could have wrestled a top spot in the industry from the WWE or WWF as it was known during that time. Now, I know some of you may be saying, what about WCW's 84-week run during the Monday Night Wars? As impressive as the 84-week ratings win is, it does not take into account house show attendance, merchandise sales, licensing, international syndication, and to be honest with you, anyone in the world, you say the word wrestling, it's a good chance they're talking about the WWF. And yes, I do understand the irony in that statement. Other than that 84-week run, there was also an opportunity in 1985 when Jim Crockett Promotions was at its peak. Unfortunately, the WWF had already gone national with its product in terms of house shows and national syndication. The Crockett should have focused on protecting its core territory and expanded slowly. Although with a slower expansion, it would have been really tough to catch a WWF at that time. So the era or time frame that I chosen is 1983, if you didn't know that by the title of this project. Why, yes, the territories were still strong at the time. It was a good mix of up-and-comers, guys in their prime, and veterans. The WWF was not touring nationally as of yet, and Bob Backlund was their champion. Although Bob was a great in-ring technician, they could not go national with him. That's why they went with Hulk Hogan instead. The idea is to kind of get entrenched nationally before they get there. So we're going to hit up markets that the WWF. We're not going to. We'll try to hit there first with national television on cable. And the overall concept is in 1983, we'll be taking control of the NWA, working with various promoters to establish a national brand as well as strengthening our core territories. The 5 promotions that I picked for this project is the CWA out of Memphis, Jim Crockett Promotions, Mid-South with Bill Watts, Georgia, WCW, and World Class, along with secondary promotions, New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, Portland, St. Louis, Puerto Rico, and Mexico, with myself in charge of the expansion with a national television show on ESPN. Now, I understand how much a stretch and how far-fetched that sounds, but they did do something similar in about 1985 with Pro Wrestling USA, which indeed failed. With cable television still in its infancy, some people might say ESPN, there'd be no chance to put a wrestling TV show on ESPN. Well, at the time, ESPN wasn't the ESPN that we know today. A lot of fishing shows, a lot of bowling shows, some hunting shows on there. They were starving for content. They just, went on the air. Putting a wrestling show on ESPN today would be next to impossible, but in 83, I think we get away with that. And don't forget that the AWA also had a show on ESPN into mid-late 80s, so it's not so far-fetched. Interesting note, though, is ESPN does have a wrestling segment, I believe, on SportsCenter. I think I've seen a couple clips of that. So it's April of 1983. Our expansion will start in California. Will this work? I don't know, but I'll let you be the judge. Now, in terms of a roster size, I have 102 different wrestlers currently on the roster. The thing about the territory, especially in 83, there was very fluid. A lot of guys moving around. Guys were staying for about 6 to 8 weeks at a time, so it was kind of hard to pinpoint where exactly everyone was at the time, so I had to make some adjustments there. In addition, I excluded all the wrestlers from the AWA for the most part and all the wrestlers from WWF. I guess the notable inclusion would be Andre the Giant, who at the time was being booked out by Vince Sr. So once the McMahons figure out what we're doing, I'm assuming they're going to pull him off the show. So if we decide to go into 1984, later into 1984, we'll probably want to see Andre. Now the national show is going to have all 102 wrestlers available to use. In addition, all the championships were pretty accurate. Again, I had to make some adjustments there in terms of what champions were there. So kind of rebooted that a little bit. Jim Crockett Promotion will be heading the NWA World Title along with the NWA on ESPN show. We'll have the NWA champion available. That doesn't mean it won't get defended on other shows or what have you. It's just basically the way the game works. Since we are using the WWE 2K16 for the PlayStation 4 on this, there are kind of some restrictions there. Now, WWE 2K16 is a very interesting game, and much like John Cena, the reaction has been mixed. I can tell you one thing. The game itself is very deep in some areas and then very shallow in others. but I will be giving you guys a full game review as we go on through the process here. I'm trying to keep this as accurate as possible, but there's going to be some adjustments that have to be made, due to the limitations of the game itself. So if you guys see any notable exclusions, please let me know. If you want to see some dream matches or rivalries, again, please let me know. For week 1, I'm going to have the computer play through all the matches on all the shows to kind of give you guys a taste of what we're doing here exactly. Once we get into week 2, I will have the computer simulate those matches on TV, and then the big shows, we have 52 of them, so you'll get the playthroughs on those as well. And any rivalry matches or feuds that are marked rivalry, you will see those in entirety as well. I did decide not to do play-by-play for each match. We will talk about some of the matches and matchups that we'll see, but I think this is more of a historical type of, go over various topics, would it be modern stuff, older stuff, and just give some of my opinions on pro wrestling in general. So, let's kick it off with our first show, which will be CWA out of Memphis.